Let's go then with the topic. So yeah, there's a Nintendo Direct supposedly happening soon. I don't think anyone is shocked by
what?
this revelation. Like, if you are shocked, I guess you just don't know that Nintendo pretty much always has one in February for the most part.
I had no idea.
That said, this is kind of split up into two different topics. One, we'll talk about other Nintendo Direct stuff. This first topic, though, we're going to be talking mostly about Zelda and 40th anniversary stuff and Ocarina of Time remake. I say all this because Nintendo Talk is actually one of the leading people right now for a Direct in February. There's been some others, but he dropped a tweet that says the following: expect a Nintendo Direct in February with some anniversary announcements in the show. And he has that as coming from his source. And as Andres Reeser, I know, knows because he covers this stuff like I do, Nintendo Talk has been very accurate over the last couple of years. He doesn't put a lot out there, but the stuff he has put out there seems to always come true. Seems to have a pretty reliable source for this kind of stuff. And in the tweet, he did go on to note some anniversaries that were going on with other franchises. But we have a ton of third-party rumors for Switch 2 right now, and even a leak that led to us, led them just straight up announcing High on Life 2, which might have been in the Direct, but who knows now. But we want to really focus on the anniversary aspect of what he said for this topic. And we can kind of figure out that it should be about Zelda just by a process of elimination. So technically, Mario's 40th, they're supposedly celebrating that through when the movie drops. But they also kind of did Mario stuff in a Direct last year. Also, Pokemon's 30th is right now, Metroid's 40th, and Animal Crossing's 25th, along with Zelda's 40th. Animal Crossing, though, just got like an update to the game, and they didn't really talk about the anniversary, so I don't know that they're going to do anything for that. Obviously, Pokemon has been already advertising the 30th anniversary as being part of Pokemon Day, which is on February 27th. So chances are anything related to Pokemon will just be saved for that. And then obviously they've just like never done anything for Metroid. It is what it is. They just seem to not care. And maybe it's just because the series doesn't sell a whole lot. I don't know. I'm not saying there won't be some stuff. There might be like a first 4 figure or something that comes out that's for it, but I wouldn't expect anything. Maybe a Lego set. I don't know. I wouldn't expect anything too crazy for Metroid because they don't really do a whole lot for it. And they just had Prime 4 come out without mentioning the anniversaries coming up.
I just don't think Nintendo does anniversaries in any major way outside of Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon. Zelda.
Yeah,
like
and Pokemon
Animal Crossing is ginormous. There's no anniversary celebration for that. They could, but it's just that. And it's not to say there won't be any mention ever, because I'm sure they have actually mentioned Metroid's anniversary before, but it might be like a tweet or a Nintendo Today post or something, like a look back at history. Or like, I think they did one for Fire Emblem's anniversary, and they just released like a really old Fire Emblem game on NSO. Like, they might do something like that, but, talking about them doing anything grander, there's just no precedent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Mario and Zelda. Those are the ones that they tend to do it for. And it is Zelda's 40th, and we already have a Lego set announced, which we knew was coming because they teased it last year, but then obviously we saw it.
Yeah, they teased it last year, and it was leaked months beforehand, which was rumored months before that. Because when we heard about the Deku Tree, Nate, I think you remember when we heard about the Deku Tree Lego set, we actually heard there was another. Yeah, and then BrickTap eventually leaked that there was an Ocarina of Time Lego set based off Ganondorf, which people chose to just disbelieve, even though BrickTap's in terms of
literally always right about everything.
Right. And then Nintendo literally teases it, and you're like, hey, listen, this is like the most obvious reference that Nintendo cares about Ocarina of Time in a bigger way than people want to give it credit for, and people still refuse to believe it. And now, like, this is the most. They've never put out a trailer. Maybe never is the wrong word. They've done like bigger advertisements for like the Mario Lego stuff, but like they've never put like such an epic trailer for a Nintendo Lego set before. That 42-second trailer is just awesome.
Yeah, it's really well put together. Really well put. And then like how it ends, flashing to the whole set being, I'm like, dude, this is sick.
It's interesting. Like the music they use, I'm sure it's very cliche, epic music, but like the beginning of it almost reminds me of like what they do in the beginning of 7 Remake. Like it's very bombastic, very epic, and I'm like, I'm getting those vibes.
Yeah, I think someone asked a question earlier about, hey, do you think that's music from the remake? I'm like, probably not, but
not the Ocarina. No. I'm talking about Final Fantasy. Like it's just like the epic, bombastic music. It feels similar.
They asked the question about the music in the Lego promotion thing, and I was like,
No,
I don't think it's in the game, but it is pretty cool. Like it's they use
there's effort. There's a lot of effort.
Yeah. So we're gonna split this up into two parts. Part one, we're gonna talk about the 40th anniversary, what we think they may or may not announce at the direct for that. And then the second part, we'll talk about Ocarina of Time remake, because I feel like that should kind of be its own section, separate away from everything else, because there's just a lot to talk about with that. Our wants, our desires. Do we think it's actually happening, etc. And it feels appropriate to have that conversation when we have Andres Restart on, who's got literally all the info and all the details besides myself. So it's good to have someone else on that knows all this stuff. That said, the first part, what do we think they're going to actually announce at this direct for Zelda's 40th? Andres, I see you're ready to burst at the seams here.
Oh, I think I misunderstood. So I thought we were talking about the direct. We're talking about Zelda's 40th.
Yeah, we're talking about the 40. What? Because the rumor is there's going to be anniversary stuff in the direct.
That's so the funny thing is that regardless of this is direct conversation or Zelda 40th anniversary conversation, I think my answer is kind of the same.
The same. Yeah.
And spoiler, I'm not talking about the Ocarina of Time remake.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I didn't think you were.
All right, so I'm fully aware that this may not have to do with Zelda's 40th anniversary, but if you've seen some of my recent videos, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. I think there's a solid chance Monolith Soft is cooking something awesome, and it might really appeal to the Zelda fan base. Even if it's not Zelda related at all, I think a lot of Zelda fans would probably really vibe with it. It might not be Zelda related, to be clear, right? But the reason why I think it might be Zelda related, right, is one, we just had a recent, very curious interview where Monolith Soft put out this chat they had with the Zelda team talking about the growth of their partnership over the years, because Monolith Soft worked on Skyward Sword, Breath, and then Tears. And a lot of people took that interview, especially towards the end, to mean that they are going to take on a larger role. I mean, they literally say that they plan to continue to build this relationship and work more on Zelda. So there is some indication perhaps that they're going to do something even bigger in the future. Does that mean just doing more, taking on more of a role with the mainline 3D Zelda projects? Probably. But does it also mean something else? And we also have, whatchamacallit, there is another interview that came out around the same time in December, where they were talking about Age of Imprisonment, and Aonuma did tease that the Zelda team wanted to have their Zelda out early for Switch 2, but Koei Tecmo beat them to the punch with Age of Imprisonment. And he says to look at Age of Imprisonment as inspiration for the next Zelda, right? In so many words. And so what's interesting about that is that, to me, that says we're not just talking about like a little Zelda thingy for the 40th anniversary, considering Aonuma's history of teasing various Zelda projects, right? Like, it's not once or twice he's done this. He did it for he literally teased Echoes of Wisdom 6 months before it was announced. Link's Awakening remake, he literally told us that he teased that. He confirmed that he teased that years in advance. Majora's Mask 3, 3D he teased. Skyward Sword HD he teased, even though Nintendo executives said he didn't, and he did. And those are just some examples. There's even more. So the notion that he's teasing something, right? Like that part is, I think most people agree with. And so I'm led to think, okay, we're getting something kind of cool Zelda for the anniversary. The question is what? Because I don't actually think Ocarina of Time remake is coming out this year, I'm led to think it has to be something else. And we've been hearing that Monolith Soft is getting close to announcing something. And then I think about this project they've been working on throughout the entire Switch era, which also had Zelda-themed art. I'm like, all right, well, what if they do something that, like, when I say they, I mean Nintendo does something that they probably should have done a long time ago, and is have a spin-off series that's kind of like big, kind of like how Luigi's Mansion is to Mario, or Donkey Kong is to Mario, right? Like, these are technically Mario Universe series, but they're also their own big thing. So what if Nintendo and Monolith Soft announce a new thing? It's not an Ocarina of Time remake, it's not the next open air Zelda, but it's a new thing that we'll look at. It's not just like another Hyrule Warriors, right, or like Tinkle's special bizarre adventure or whatever. Like it's gonna be just something that's based off the Zelda universe, but its own IP. Because we've heard about the hirings. They've mentioned they're working on an action game. We've seen LinkedIn profile listings. It's supposedly a new IP, but it can technically be both. And so that's kind of like the crazy crackpot theory. I at least think they're about to announce something this year, even if it's not Zelda related, but it might be, which is why I'm talking about it now.
So I love this, Andres, and I'm fully on board with it. Last year, when Switch 2 first got announced, and we were talking about the games on the podcast, I last year I brought up Monolith a handful of times, and my prediction for Monolith was that they're going to have something special, but that it's not going to be the next Xenoblade game. Whatever they're doing, my prediction, I've been solid on this. It's either going to be a new IP for them, which could be what you're describing, or a brand new Xeno type game that's not Xenoblade. It could be anything. Xenosphere, Xeno Canon. I don't know.
But Xeno Bonanza.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love this, and I think that I've been of the mindset that when we're talking about what could be the holiday game, if we're not going to get a big Zelda this year, if we're not going to get a next 3D mainline Mario game this year, what could be the big holiday game? And I think it was last show or the show before, I was talking about how I feel like Monolith, even though they're not the juggernaut that like the Zelda or Mario team are, I feel like they're getting a little bit more mainstream with every release. They're getting bigger, more popular. And now with the power of Switch 2, I think the team has the hardware and the tool set to deliver something that's really going to wow and push Switch 2 to its limits. And I think this is one of those teams that could just come out of nowhere with a massive hit. We see it all the time. Look at the team behind Expedition 33.
Literally that. Yeah.
Look at it, Larian. Yeah, they had hits with Divinity 1 and 2, but nothing along the lines of Baldur's Gate 3. So there's no reason why a team like Monolith can't hit a major home run with something very special that no one saw coming. So I love this idea, and I don't think it's far-fetched at all. I like it.
I'll say that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 did receive a great deal of nominations when it came out. But at the end of the day, it was a Switch 1 title, hampered by being on the Switch 1, and it was anime, right? So, I mean, I love anime, right? I when I was eating dinner, I was rewatching My Hero. But my point is simply that anime aesthetic takes away from its mainstream allure, to an extent, especially with it may sound kind of contradictory, right? Because Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is the most anime, it's the best selling, but in terms of like winning awards and stuff, it has limited it, at least here in the West, right? Sure. And so you look at something like Expedition 33, it's very similar. If Xenoblade Chronicles 3 was made for more for better hardware, it might have gotten the same kind of level of treatment as Expedition 33 has gotten this past year.
And I would also argue, I think the thing that would be so exciting about this idea of yours about Monolith working on some sort of a Zelda game, a Zelda spinoff, a Zelda RPG, whatever it could be, is that, as someone like Zelda's my favorite series of all time, but as someone who has a deep, deep love for RPGs and JRPGs and lore and stories, like thinking about what sort of, story's never been the strong suit in a Zelda game. Some are obviously better than others, but it's never been like, you're never going to put a Zelda story next to a story of like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 or Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. Monolith Soft is the best studio from Nintendo in terms of telling story.
Yep.
Hands
so
down.
Imagine
not close.
What they would do with that world if they had creative control to build a story with those characters. To me, that's pretty exciting stuff. I don't know if this is something that's happening. I don't think it's far-fetched, and
it feels right.
I'd be stoked. I'd be in 100% all in on that.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of like my big wish slash theory. I mean, if it's not that, I think our most exciting thing I'm trying not to touch the remake, right? Like Twilight Princess HD. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna be this year. If it's not this year, it's not happening until Nintendo decides to remake it, like actually many years from now, probably. So that's kind of like the most notable thing outside of a big new spin-off, I think.
Okay. That's good. All right. Who wants to go next for just the direct predictions for what they might reveal for Zelda at this event? Let's see here. Let's go to Eric. You got anything?
Yeah. We're talking about what they're going to do for Zelda for possible in the direct here or for their 40th.
Yep.
I could see them, going, if the direct in February, their one last thing might be like a tune into, the next direct, which is discussing the Zelda movie. It goes over more of the casting, gives us a title, things like that, and kind of shows off a little bit of the movie. It gives us an actual trailer, things like that. That I think that would be really fun.
Yeah. Eric, you got me you got my brain started to turn, right? Because I'm starting to think about it. Like I remember in what was it, 2021? Technically, that was Zelda's 30th anniversary. The February Direct did have a pretty substantial announcement. I don't think they marketed it as a 30th anniversary announcement, but it may as well have been. Aonuma came out and he had some words. He suggested that we'd hear more about Tears of the Kingdom later in the year. At that point, we didn't even know it was called Tears of the Kingdom, just a sequel. But he did spend a lot of time kind of sharing with us Skyward Sword HD. Like he had a presence. It wasn't just a Skyward Sword HD trailer, but it was also a Skyward Sword HD trailer. And so we could get something like that. And what's interesting about that is that there may still be more, right? If they follow a similar framework this year, where we have something like that in this direct, and then we still get like a big teaser for something else, maybe in the summer presentation. And then towards the end of the year, there's like another little anniversary thing, like they did the Game & Watch, right? So they had Skyward Sword HD, the Tears of the Kingdom teaser, and the Game & Watch. Now, this time I think they're going to go bigger because, like you're right, you brought up the movie. It makes sense to talk about the movie at some point this year. I also think I don't know if this will be in this direct. I think these things probably happen later in the year, but like I think that we'll announce like Zelda for Super Nintendo World. I think that's the next expansion. These things I think are going to be happening throughout the year. Well, I could continue, but I just was trying to shut up to let others talk.
I mean that was pretty much all I had was thinking hopefully they'd give us something on the movie because I have to eventually talk about it this year.
I mean, the only thing is that like with the Galaxy movie, they might focus on marketing that first, and then
right.
The second half is when we'll start to hear
that's
about.
That's why I kind of said tune in, after, because Mario is what's the date on Mario?
April,
again?
I think it's April.
It's April something, like April.
Stash's birthday. That's what I know, but I don't remember the date.
Zelda is May 7th.
Oh,
May 7th.
No, what's
No,
Mario?
the Mario
April
movie
3rd for Mario.
Yeah.
That's not my birthday. My birthday is May 7th. The Zelda movie.
Zelda movie. Okay, that's what it is. Okay.
So whose birthday is April?
Nobody. But yeah, I could see, at the end of this or something talking about, a future direct being, a Zelda movie, not necessarily going into anything big, but saying, hey, tune into a future direct here. That would probably happen after the Mario movie comes out. For
that, Eric, that's similar to something that I was kind of wondering about this direct. I'm wondering if we don't get all the Zelda 40th goodies in this direct, but they make mention at some point halfway through to near the end of the direct, like, hey guys, guess what? The 40th anniversary is coming up for The Legend of Zelda, and we'll have a lot more to share about that at a later date.
I would love that.
They kind of
love that.
set up that, hey, like, we're not necessarily going to have this celebration in time for the anniversary, but it's coming. And to me, that feels more plausible than just getting the Zelda anniversary dump in February before the Mario movie, And if there is going to be an anniversary movie, there is Mario stuff that they could have in this direct, even though we know about what's going on for Mario. One, we could get trailer 2 for the Mario movie, because we have trailer 1 and like 2, we have a tease and a TV spot. So we could get like the final trailer, which is the big juicy one. We have stuff that we're still waiting on, like the Wonder Flower toy. I know that we don't have a release date, as far as I know, unless I'm wrong. I don't think we have a release date for Mario Wonder Bella Bell expansion, but maybe I'm wrong on that. We don't have one, right? Yep.
Still
so
spring.
Yep. So we'll get an official release date. I would not be surprised if this anniversary rumor leak for this is still Mario, with maybe like a quick nod to other series. That's like, oh, other series that are celebrating big anniversaries this year are A, B, and C, and you can play their classics on NSO today. I wouldn't be surprised for that with an announce with Zelda at a later time. But let's just say for shirts and gurgles that Zelda anniversary is a big part of this direct, because that's more fun, guys. That's a lot more fun to talk about.
I just want to say that, if they did tease Zelda anniversary stuff, there would still have to be a Zelda anniversary announcement in this direct. It just wouldn't be the only one.
Right.
For the year.
Yeah. For sure. Yep.
So shirts and gurgles.
The shirts and gurgles.
Yeah.
But let's say that they are gonna do their kind of Zelda anniversary drop. I do think, I mean, I made a video on this. I think you made one too, Andres. I think a bunch of people did, about why we think this has potential to be the best Zelda anniversary to date. And it's kind of just that the pieces have all lined up. I mean, you guys have already all mentioned it. We got a live action Zelda movie, which is like a childhood dream come true for most Zelda fans, people who grew up with this series. I mean, that already alone, you throw out everything else, a live action Zelda movie alone elevates this, in my opinion, already better than most Zelda anniversaries, because this is something I never thought we would ever get. It's filming in New Zealand, where they shot Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Unbelievable. The set, fantastic. Fingers crossed. I really hope they don't drop the ball with this movie. I hope it kicks butt. On top of that, what's the other childhood dream? We've got a Super Nintendo Land theme park now, and they've already expanded into Donkey Kong. And we have in the Orlando location, Zelda Stained Glass, Aonuma making visits there. It seems pretty clear that there's going to be more expansions to this park, at least in Florida and probably some in Japan. I know Hollywood has limited real estate, so it's likely we won't see any of that unless they add attractions in different parts of the park and tear down old attractions. But that being said, those two things alone are massive. Because if there's any possibility that we can go to a built Hyrule that's like Harry Potter Land, it's like the Hyrule courtyard or whatnot, and there's some sort of a ride, unbelievable. Then you've got to factor in, we know merch is always a part of the Zelda and Mario. It's so common, whether it's golden Joy-Cons or a golden Pro. I'm willing those into existence, by the way, because I want some gold with my Switch 2. Whether it's a Zelda themed Switch 2 that comes bundled with a digital code for maybe we're getting a remake this year, maybe we're getting a special port. So I definitely think hardware and accessories is going to be a big one. Additionally, we got to talk about the games. This is where I have a hard time, because the pieces are lining up. I'm an Ocarina of Time remake believer. I've been forever. Andres, we've talked about this years ago.
Yeah.
I know you are too. I think everyone in the pod is a believer in the Ocarina of Time remake.
I believe.
So on one hand, I see like, oh man, we could finally see this, the like proof that it's real in this epic reimagining with modern graphics and voice acting and a fully orchestrated soundtrack. At the same time, the timing also feels right to get the tease of the next mainline game. Do they do both? I don't think so. I mean, that's, you don't want one to overshadow the other. What's more likely? I don't know. It's so hard. Part of me feels like Ocarina of Time because, you know, we've got the Lego sets, and it's not just the Ganon and Link battle. The fact that we got the Ocarina of Time Deku Tree, there was no reason for that. They could have just done the Breath of the Wild Deku Tree. Breath of the Wild was the big hot thing. It's the thing that took Zelda to the next level in the mainstream and put it into the 30 million plus sales. Ocarina didn't do that. So why even go through the effort to include that Deku Tree as well? There's other Deku Trees.
Yeah, and then there's the 2 interviews where Aonuma hints at Ocarina of Time being remade, right?
So
there's the patent where we see Navi flying around. Like, why are they working on Navi tech?
There's so many clues. The fear is, and I think this is the worst. I think I'd rather wait longer to see this. The fear is that maybe it's not the remake that we've all imagined. Maybe it's something in between modern, something in between the 3DS remake, you know, something better than a remaster, but not quite a full remake. That's the concern, because I feel like this is such a special game with such a special history that needs that Final Fantasy VII treatment or that Resident Evil 2 treatment. But the timing does feel right. But the timing also feels right for the next one. So maybe I'm wrong on both, and maybe it's the monolith thing that you're pitching, because I think there's something there to that. But there's no way we get 3. There's no way we get 2, I don't think. So what's it going to be? I don't know. I'm curious to know what you guys think.
I just want to say that I feel that there is a solid chance that this remake would function as a little bit of both. It would be the remake, you know, that we've been waiting for, right? It would do a good job of exciting that fan base early on, getting us invested in the system early on, but also in and of itself be that teaser for the next Zelda. Wind Waker HD, that was birthed from working on Wii U tech for 3D Zelda, a showcase of some of the Wii U capabilities, and they use that as a testing ground to familiarize themselves with the Wii U to make Breath of the Wild. Now this would be on a grander scale, but I could see it kind of being a little bit of that. And there's also what's interesting, like Wind Waker was also a kind of a primer for Breath of the Wild, because it was like the most open world Zelda in a long time. And then you look at Skyward Sword, they put that out shortly before Tears of the Kingdom, before they announced the expanded sky in Tears of the Kingdom. And so Skyward Sword was also put out to kind of tease the next Zelda, right? And we've heard from Special Nick about the next open air Zelda, how it's supposed to have to do with tears in reality, maybe a light world, dark world kind of mechanic, different portals, alternate realms, which is very much like, light world, dark world, or past, future, and Ocarina of Time. So Ocarina of Time could actually, if they were to do a remake ambitiously, right, like there would be this opportunity to have it be something that showcases Switch 2 graphics, right? Get that Zelda fan base excited, do that with the movie or vice versa. But also be a little bit of a teaser of, okay, so this is the new graphics tech we're using for Zelda, right? This is also mechanically, there are some similarities here to the next Zelda, right? In the same sense that Wind Waker was a teaser for Breath of the Wild. It wasn't like a Breath of the Wild demo, but it showcased that open world exploration, right? Or how Skyward Sword showcased that sky exploration that we got in Tears of the Kingdom. They may position this remake like that. And so I think it could actually be both. And so if they were to do that, we probably wouldn't be seeing an actual teaser for open air Zelda until it's actually kind of close to coming out.
For sure.
Which I think is a better, because waiting 3 years, with
It's
nothing.
painful.
Yeah. But that's also assuming the remake is this ambitious thing. If it's not an ambitious thing, then that all goes out the window.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we don't have substantial evidence. I mean, we don't have a lot of evidence to say it's an ambitious remake. I just think it's happening. I guess. Are we trying to hold back from the Ocarina of Time remake conversation? We're still like getting into it.
Yeah. We're gonna deep dive into it in a bit.
All right, so I've already kind of probably said too much, but
yeah,
I'll pin that.
Those were my thoughts for the direct. Ultimately, just to bring it full circle again, I'm not convinced we see Zelda Anniversary at the direct. I really can see the possibility of them teasing this celebration at a future date.
Well, you're wrong. I'll go last. Stash, have you gone yet on this part?
No, not yet.
All right. What are your thoughts on 40th anniversary Nintendo Direct?
Yeah. So as far as May or February, I don't see it really happening in February. Yep. It doesn't make sense. It goes against everything that I've been saying for, I think, once again, like over a year. Where did I say that the Mario movie was going to run a marketing cycle for the 40th anniversary all the way through the movie, which would take us to April, and that the Zelda 40th marketing would run from May to May. So May 2026 to May 2027 when the movie hits. That is the absolute most logical way to go about it. So
I agree.
Yeah, and why would we use a direct to talk about Zelda in February when we're pushing Mario? We already have the Yoshi game coming out in spring. We have Super Mario Wonder Switch 2 edition coming out in spring. Like it's illogical.
It's going to be Mario Direct. It's going to be Mario Anniversary stuff in the Direct. That makes the most sense.
Yeah, because Zelda's going to have its time. There's a time for this. There's a time and place, and it's not in February. I do think they will most likely say this, though, in the direct, that you can look forward to hearing more things about Zelda throughout the year to celebrate the anniversary. Look forward to this. I also think that in the direct, there's a good chance they'll say, look forward to the Pokemon Presents. Because if we have a direct in February, that they would say, hey, look forward to hearing about some great things with what we have going on here. That's where I'm at with this.
Are we on the same page then? That so you think there's a good chance they would make reference to eventual announcements regarding both anniversaries, right? But don't you think that would have to come with some kind of announcement for each particular series? Not a full-on focus on the anniversary, but some kind of game for each series would need to be have a segment in the direct. Wouldn't you think?
I think the way they're going to do it is, I think Mario's was going to be the focus. They're going to tease the Zelda Anniversary stuff, but they're going to say something along the lines of, check out these other games that have big anniversaries, and it's going to show like a montage of the characters or the games, and saying, and you could play the classic entries in these titles on NSO. I think they'll do something like that, and that'll cover like Metroid and Kirby and I don't know what else, the whole bunch.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think this is be more focus on the games that are coming out, third-party games, getting updates on the games that they've already shown us. Like, when are these games coming out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things like Elden Ring, when's that coming out? Splatoon, Raiders, anything that they announced at the last two directs, we need to get an update on. Because then the next direct is going to talk about some of the newer games that are going to be coming out in the future. I mean, that's historically how they've always done it. So I don't expect them to stray from that. I do still think obviously Zelda news later this year.
Mm-hmm.
I do still expect a remake remaster. Obviously, I've seen the news about the Ancient Stone tablets. I have it right behind me on the shelf. Physical edition. Played it. It's awesome. I think people would love to play it.
I was gonna ask you if you think it's good, but you just
Oh yeah, dude, it's awesome. I have that, and I have the broadcast satellite Legend of Zelda as well. That's redone in Super Nintendo style, the original. I think that's so cool. Look, again, if you rewind to probably a year ago when we were talking about stuff to come out on NSO, what did I say? Broadcast satellite. Everyone thought that was crazy, but I think it's going to happen. I really
some people
do.
still think it's crazy.
Yeah, they do. But Virtual Boy exists now. I still think DS is coming. Still think Wii's going to come. Wii's it's the 20th anniversary for Nintendo Wii this year. So maybe we'll see something around that time. You never because
I think
Virtual Boy is not meant to feed the masses. That's meant to feed the hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I speak for all of us when I say we would like to play, right?
Absolutely,
right?
dude. Those commercials were great.
They were interesting.
I've tried to grab some of them for use in videos, and the best I can ever find is 240p for those commercials.
Yeah, it's so bad.
I know. How can I
you
find
try and
E3?
stretch it out a little bit, and it's
I could
worse.
find E3 from I don't know, 2001, probably better than this Wii commercial from 2006 or 7. How does that work? The Super Nintendo World, fully expect that expansion. I've talked to Michaela about it. Because we want to go to Japan. But I want to go when Zelda's there.
Yeah.
That's when I want to go. I want to go hit that. I want to hit the Nintendo Museum. Do anything and everything I can. Obviously, video game related, Nintendo related while I'm there. So, waiting on that. But I think that we'll see that in 2027. I think that'll open up. So that should be exciting. I think that's about it for now. Gamebird, you mentioned that there'd be a lot of different, products to sell, clothing, this and that, all sorts of fun little things. Yes, I expect that. I expect things like this too, like this Pokemon, 30th anniversary bag of goldfish that I picked up at the store today. Because you got to catch them all, and this is one of them, obviously.
I'm assuming that's new and not old.
That's brand new.
Well, it says 30th anniversary, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where does it say 30th anniversary? Let me see.
It doesn't say 30th anniversary, Nate, but it does say build your team and let the Pokemon story unfold. 1995 to 2025.
That's some classic art right there.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I got to get this.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously that's stuff like that. You guys got to remember, there's a big marketing push about to start for Galaxy. We're about to get Old Spice up in here. I'm all over that.
The Old Spice.
I actually think there's probably going to be a trailer before the Direct. Or in the Direct, one or the other, but...
Yeah, one or the other. I think you're right on that. Just a matter if they want to use a potentially general Direct to show the trailer. If they want to use that time or if they want to show it before. I expect one soon. This should be the final trailer. Or you think they're gonna do another trailer for?
Yeah, it seems too early.
I think they're gonna do it
for Mario.
Yeah,
no,
we've only gotten one trailer, really.
Well, we got 2 teasers, right?
Yeah,
a trailer and a TV spot.
The TV spot from the Game Awards, right? That was a brief little thing.
Yeah.
We've only gotten one proper trailer. I think there needs to be 2 more.
It's out in 10 weeks.
You're gonna have a big marketing campaign. You should have a big marketing campaigin with multiple trailers.
I mean, it's possible that they could do they can do one and then do like a different cut, for just before the movie drops.
I mean, there's gonna be like random stuff. Like, remember with the first one, they had like the I forget, there was like the van in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be hopefully stuff like that. It'd be crazy. This would be so cool, and I don't think they're gonna do it. It's just like a random idea that would be really fun and would probably help, but also probably be too high budget. But what if they were like, hey, here's a free update to Galaxy 1 and 2, new levels. Not a lot, just like a few new Galaxy levels, and they're like, hey, check out, the movie.
That would be cool.
Maybe it showcases like Bowser Jr.'s new look or something as kind of like a reference to the movie, and it's like, hey, check out the movie coming to theaters soon or something. Like, that would be probably completely unexpected, and I doubt anyone's actually going to believe this, but I don't know. It would be fun.
I gotta ask this since we're talking like anniversaries and all, but do you guys think we're done with the Mario anniversary?
My thoughts for the direct stuff, because we're focusing on Zelda right now, right?
Yep. Direct's a totally different topic, but yeah.
So I'm trying to hold back, but I'll just say I think there's going to be a little bit of trickle over.
Yeah, I'll hold. Nate, what do you got, man?
Well, it's nice to be the only voice of reason on the show. Absolutely. We'll announce some Zelda stuff for the anniversary next month. I know Eric's just like, what? What about me? No. So obviously, we don't know. Yeah, even like Nintendo Talk, he didn't seem to know which anniversary would be the one that happens here. I don't think anything Pokemon will ever get mentioned. They're already marketing the Pokemon 30th anniversary for Pokemon. Like, it's literally already being marketed for Pokemon Day. They don't need the direct to tell people, oh, go watch it. The Pokemon Company has all their own marketing going. So I don't think anything like that's going to be there. And to answer Stash's question, as I said, no, I don't think there's anything else coming for Mario's 40th. I think what they have is what they have. Now they'll still market it. We'll get a release date for Yoshi and stuff, but that's for the direct talk. For the Zelda stuff, I personally do, obviously, I made the topic, do think there will be Zelda stuff in this direct. And that is for a couple of reasons.
But Nate, I don't want to cut you off. Do you think there will, because my argument, I know you had to step away. My argument was that I don't think this is going to be the big 40th dump of everything. This is all the stuff. So that's what I was arguing. I'm not saying that there won't be anything Zelda in the direct. I just don't think it's going to be the dump.
I think it will be the dump.
Okay, you think it will? Okay, I just want to clarify. So I understood.
So a couple of reasons. One, it actually is the 40th anniversary next month. I know they haven't all on the actual anniversary, but it quite literally is the 40th anniversary next month. So there's that. Two, I'm on record saying that I don't think 3D Mario is coming until 2028, and I think that would be the only other thing to reveal for an anniversary that would be exciting to most people. So with that being the case, I know Andre Tristar hasn't heard this take before. He wasn't on that episode.
No.
So I'm not going to go over that right now. Obviously, why all my reasons behind that. But because to frame this, because I don't think that that's getting revealed in February or even coming out this year. And I think that's the only other thing they could announce. There is this thought process I have that, look, Nintendo needs a big direct. They need a showcase direct. And the way I believe, there's nothing else really coming for Mario this year besides what's already announced, then I think they have to have something else. And that something else could be the blowout for Zelda. This is where I get crazy. Okay, because not only do I think, and we'll get into the Ocarina of Time stuff later, not only do I think that will be revealed next month, I don't know if it's going to be coming out this year. That's a different conversation. But I do think it could be revealed next month. I think they also, and this is the one I'm not sure about because I think it could happen in June instead of now, but I think they could tease the next big 3D Zelda. Just a tease. Again, I know what Andres Research said, and it makes more sense. I know we when it comes to Zelda, the big ones, especially the big 3D ones, kind of throw all sense away. They're always revealed years before the game comes out. And that's not always the intent. Sometimes the intent is to reveal it now, it comes out next year. But that's what always happens. They reveal and it's years out. And the reason I bring this all up is because I do think that Nintendo needs a showcase direct, and the best way to have a showcase direct is to showcase the games that everyone would always just universally be excited for. And that would be a big new 3D Zelda, even though it's years away. But even just a 2014 style teaser where you barely see a glimpse of the art style of the game.
That would be hype.
That would be very, very hype. And that's all we would need. They won't have to talk about this shit again till, I don't know, end of next year, maybe September direct of 2027. And they can get away with that because it's all about teasing, hey, this is why Switch 2 is here. Look at what we're doing with Zelda that we could not do on Switch 1. And the same with the Ocarina of Time remake. Even if it's not this year, showing it is just going to blow people's minds away. And that's what I mean. They need something to blow people away. And you could use Zelda's 40th as the excuse to be like, fine, let's dump a couple massive Zelda announcements. We already have the Legos coming, supposedly in March or something. I don't know. That's when the website says it's starting to ship out. Yeah. So it's not like they're shying away from releasing Zelda stuff while the Mario stuff's going on. They literally had the announcement in January, which is something that Nashweedle said was going to start. Announcements related to the 40th would start in January. Lego, it just happened. Now, they didn't label it as under the 40th anniversary, but that could be because they're waiting to reveal Ocarina of Time remake, and they're just going to tie that all in, being like, hey, we actually already announced the 40th anniversary, and we're doing the Lego thing, we're also doing this, we're doing that. And I think that'll be the brux of it, will be those two announcements. But there will be like something for this year, whether it's that now rumored Ancient Stone tablets coming back, whether it's NSO or otherwise, or whether it's, maybe this, just because I'm speaking this right now means it's not going to happen, but Wind Waker or Twilight Princess coming back, even in just like 4K or something, 120 or 4K 60, would be cool. But it's kind of like, well, it wouldn't be 4K 120, it'd be 4K 60, maybe 1080 120 if they decided to do that. But I kind of feel like, there will be something that comes out for Zelda this year. I'm not just 100% sure on what that something is, but I think it'll be the least hyped of the announcements they have. But no one's going to give a shit because Ocarina of Time remake and the new 3D Zelda are going to look so incredible. Everyone's just going to be like, oh, who cares if it's not this year? Who cares if Ocarina of Time's next year and it's coming out around when the Zelda movie does? Who cares? Like, this is hype as shit. Look how hype this is. And that doesn't solve them needing a big game for this year. Again, I still think there's going to be at least one, besides Gen 10 Pokemon system seller coming out this year. Maybe it is Ocarina of Time, but it might not be. So it could be something else. And there's a lot of chances to announce some of that. And then the announcements might still happen in the direct, by the way. That big game, because they're going to announce in addition to the 40th stuff. So that's what I think will happen. One thing I hope happens, because that's what I think will happen. Like, I expect this. People can call me crazy for it. But this is what I want to happen is a new Symphony of the Goddess announced. A new concert tour. Because I never got to go to the original. Couldn't afford it. Couldn't travel. It wasn't anywhere near me. I can do that now. I want to go to it. I want to take Yulia to it. She'll really appreciate it now because she's into Zelda. So I want that to come back. They ran that for like the 25th all the way up to the 30th. It was like 5 straight years of concerts.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
I went to that first run of Symphony of the Goddess. I saw it at the Pantages in Los Angeles. And I mentioned this in my Zelda anniversary predictions video that I did on my channel because very special memory for me. One, getting to hear music from my most loved series fully orchestrated live was, something truly, truly special. But the other part was in the lobby, Nintendo had set up kiosks with demo stations for Skyward Sword. My first time, I didn't have a YouTube channel back then. It was way before that. And so getting to demo a Zelda game early at a special event was one of the coolest things to me ever. And the demo was that first dungeon in Skyward Sword. So I hope they bring it back too, Nate, because I would love for you guys to experience that. It was definitely a very magical experience.
Bro, imagine they do announce a new concert series this year and they do announce the remake, even if it comes out 2027. They have a demo later this year and you can play the demo at the event, and it's like the Deku Tree dungeon, the first dungeon, you're fighting Doma, but this is all completely like reimagined, right? So it's kind of like you know the Wii U tech demo vibes, but actually playable, and it's Ocarina of Time reimagined in that initial thing. That would get so many people like, oh, I gotta get a Switch 2. Oh, I gotta get a like the entire Zelda fan base. Everyone at that concert sees that demo. They'll be like, I get a Switch 2.
No,
you announced the Switch 2 Lite last month. Okay, I'll buy that. I don't care. I'll play Pokemon meanwhile.
I don't have any more predictions for Zelda's 40th right now, but I will say, guys, if you're out there and you're making bets with your friends on whether Zelda's 40th is going to be celebrated next month or not, this guy over here is the king of manifestation, and what he says happens. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm probably dead wrong on everything I just said, including Mario coming out in 2028, because this guy disagrees with everything I said.
Hold up.
Most things I said, because I think it'll be the 40th will be celebrated next month. So,
we got to share. You got to share some credit. I too said that I don't think Zelda's coming here. So
I was talking about people making bets. Yeah. I know you're holding really hard onto the victory you got at the Game Awards, aren't you? Holding hard onto that champion. By the way,
all I have
a single thing at all in any of these things that have happened since the Nintenbyte podcast has come into existence.
The Mario 2028 thing spawned from me talking about how I could see Mario launching in 2026.
Yep,
as the big holiday game, or at the latest 2027. And you said, no way, not going to happen. It's going to be 2028. And then Stash almost spit out his drink and food. He's like, you think it's coming out in 2028? Oh my God. And then he's like, guys, make signs on that. So listen, I deserve credit because Stash and I on a lot of issues have been of the same mindset. So I agree with Stash. I don't think.
All right, Bird.
Listen.
I gotcha. Sorry to steal your thunder. My bad. Again, Thunderbird. Look at that. It goes together.
Yeah.
Thunderbird.
There it is. Thunderbird.
Oh, a car.
There you go. Listen to those two. I'm always wrong. A lot of the time. Unless I know things and I don't know jack shit about this direct. So, okay.
That's the best way to go into a direct, though.
Absolutely.
It's to know
That's
nothing.
the only way I would want to go into a direct. I don't want to know.
See, me knowing doesn't matter. Seeing's what matters. You could tell me Ocarina of Time Remake's going to be there. It don't mean jack shit to me till I see it. Because it could just be Ocarina of Time 3D and HD. You know, like, until I see it, doesn't matter.
It could be Ocarina of Time Lego.
Yeah, could be.
And I would just never show up on the internet again.
As I said, until I see it, it doesn't matter that I know it's there. I know about some games coming to Switch 2. None of it matters to me until I see the game running on a Switch 2. It's like, but that's me. And I'm someone that loves leaks and rumors. Obviously, I covered them on my channel. And I've been talking about game leaks and rumors since I was Playground days. So I've always been kind of like wanting to know what's coming and what's coming up. Even
I love them. But I just love going in like blind too, you know?
It's a love-hate relationship. I love it. But then I also love not knowing anything. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's fun. Like I do enjoy that part too. It is totally a love-hate.
Yeah, we do it on the podcast all the time. And like you love the speculation. It's like,
yep.
Have you guys ever had, because I know you guys both have connections, and Andres, I'm sure you have some people too that you talk to that you get leaks or rumors or secrets from, but have you ever had like a huge one drop on your lap that you can't say anything about, that's just like, oh my God, how do I not talk about this?
Literally right now I know about a game coming to Switch 2 I literally can't even hint at.
That's gnarly.
I respect the wishes of people who enter my DMs.
I've only had one game.
Yeah, I love that very political answer. You running for office over there?
Maybe
I've only had one.
The slowest sip of all time. Yeah.
I've only had one game leaked to me in advance, and it's not in the way that I would have ever thought it would have happened, because I knew about the game maybe 8 months before it got announced, which is pretty wild. and that was I forget which one it was, whatever that first like big Tony Hawk remake that came out last gen. That first remake for Tony Hawk. Yeah, 1+2. I knew about that 8 months in advance because a friend of mine, who does some admin work for multiple companies, would see information that would get information literally describing Tony Hawk. So that was a pretty cool one. My buddy, I have a really good friend who works at Insomniac, and he just won't like. I've known him for years. He's made me. He designed my logo. He drew me a Ganondorf with ink. I think I showed it off on the podcast once a long time ago. Yep. Dude, he won't tell me crap. He won't tell me anything. But what can you do?
I mean,
invite him over for some drinks.
They're under NDAs. They're not supposed to say anything ever. So
I know.
But things happen. Okay. So that kind of leads that to a nice pivot, because set aside the 40th anniversary, right? Ocarina of Time remake. So I put in the notes here. You know, we have Andres Restart here. One of the guys been at the forefront of this for years at this point. Rumors dating also years back. Statements from Aonuma. There's lots of little pieces of evidence here and there that this even exists.
There's
even if you
something. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You just finish your thought. My bad.
Yeah. There's more, but I'll just say this. First, do we think the game's happening? And then, could it come out this year, or why? Or I guess could it come out this year or a future year? And then why do we believe or not believe it's happening? And then any changes or enhancements. So it's kind of like a loaded everything Ocarina of Time remake question.
I mean, I feel like you've summarized so much that I need to like do like a video where I list every single reason. It's been a mounting pile of evidence for years.
Yeah.
The reason I cut you off is as we were talking, I was like, there's still something, because thinking about like the rumors from way back, like I remember, this is before I even had hit 10,000 subscribers. This is around the time 7 Remake was getting advertised or something. I don't remember the exact timeline, but I was like, Nintendo needs to do this for 7 Remake. Like, it was just like, it wasn't a rumor. It was just like, this just makes sense. Nintendo needs to do this for Ocarina of Time. But then I also remember there were Ocarina of Time HD rumors, and they came from Game Over Jesse. And unfortunately, Game Over Jesse, you and I know him, right? I think you know him better than I do, but like we've done some shows together, we've talked. There was even a time he was going to come on my podcast and we're going to talk about some things. And he said some things in my live chat before. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get a one-on-one with you, because there's some things you're suggesting here that are actually like a really big deal. Haven't gotten a hold of him.
He's very hard to get a hold of.
But like, so there's something there that I kind of like, I want to go back and be like, hey, what's going on? He's very busy.
But and I can let him know next time I see him around. He does pop in my live chats sometimes. I'm like, dude, why didn't you answer my last 10 DMs? I'm living life, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, to answer the question very simply, I do believe in the Ocarina of Time remake, and there's so many reasons. There's multiple teases from Aonuma, who has teased many future Zelda games. That alone should be enough reason to believe it.
Literally, forget rumors. Like, just Aonuma himself.
That's enough. But I mean, I do think there is a common sense perspective. Like, at some point or another, Nintendo's going to need to revisit these games. They need to think about what they're going to do in between every opener. Zelda takes 6 to 8 years. That's not good for the brand. They need in betweens, and 2D Zelda is not enough. 2D Zelda is good, but it's not the same thing. You need to have more Zelda stuff coming out in between. And so remaking things. I mean, you look at what Capcom has done with Resident Evil. There you go. It just kind of makes sense. And the first 3D Zelda was Ocarina of Time. So if we're going to start going back to remakes, that is it. Actually, also interesting, going back to one of the interviews where Aonuma did apparently tease Ocarina of Time, the Game Informer interview, when he was asked point blank, are you going to remake Ocarina of Time in a modern way? He didn't say, oh, well, we already have Ocarina of Time 3D. he said no comment, right? And I think that has various implications. One, that they're probably he's not denying it, even though and Cameron, you brought this up a couple years ago that like during that time, like he was denying a dungeon maker at the same there was an interview the same month, right? So the fact he didn't deny something like that, fueling that fire, is already a big thing. I lost my train of thought a little bit. Yeah, I definitely lost my train of thought. There's just too much here.
Yeah, that's why you need to make a summary video.
So I make a summary video.
Much. I know you like every time you cover it, you bring up some of the stuff from the past. It's like, yeah, I know all this stuff. I made videos on it, but dude, it just
I can't. And people get mad if I summarize things, but that not everyone has seen everything.
Yep.
Right. And sometimes you need to kind of remember. Anyway, so okay, I got back to my point. Thank you. So when he was asked about remaking Ocarina of Time and said no comment, right? Not only did he have the opportunity to deny it, and he didn't, and he did the trademark laugh thing, which if you watch that video I made a while back, you go through the history of all this Numa teases. He laughs or says no comment in English, typically when he's teasing something. He goes out of character because normally everything's being translated in Japanese. But also he could have said they've already remade it, and he didn't, which suggests that he agrees that there needs to be a remake at some point. He doesn't look at the Ocarina of Time 3D as a remake, because it's not. It's a remaster, but that's a whole other thing. Anyway, you have the patent with the Navi flying around. That's recent stuff. You have the Lego sets, right? You have the fact that historically speaking, there's always been some type of major Zelda release to push hardware. In the first couple of years of every new Nintendo generation, we have not gone that yet. Breath and Tears of the Kingdom have not pushed hardware. They're not even blips. Like it's not the same thing. So you got that. You have the 40th anniversary. You have a live action Zelda movie. There's a lot of reasons. Anyway, I think it's happening, but do I think it's happening this year? And that's where I'm like, well, we have this rumor from Nash Weedle, right? And so, some people don't want to believe him. He keeps getting things right. So I'm like, well, he keeps getting things right. And from what he suggested, it's an ambitious remake, but he doesn't expect it until next year at the earliest. So, if we choose to believe him, then it's probably not coming out this year, right? But it would also be an ambitious remake, which is exciting, and maybe they could still tease it this year. And that could, we could still at least see it. And so even though it's a rumor, right, I kind of feel like he might be right. So, that's kind of I feel like it's safer to assume it's not coming out this year, but there is a part of me that's kind of like, it is the 40th anniversary. We do need something big.
I think the interesting thing here is that, Aonuma making that comment that they were hoping to get a Zelda game out first sounds like there's something that's near completion, but they just didn't quite make it to the finish line before Hyrule Warriors. That's the part that throws me off.
Same.
But
I mean, and actually, I think I saw Attack the Backlog in the chat. He had a podcast with Nash Weedle where even Nash Weedle was like, "Oh, I saw that interview too. I don't know what that means." Right? Like he agrees it means something, but based off what he's heard, he's not sure it's this, right? Which has me going back to the Monolith Soft thing, which could be another Zelda project, right?
Watch it all be Twilight Princess NSO for GameCube. Is what he was referring to.
Well, that I just wouldn't make any logical sense. That's not what I'm sure some people are going to assume that, but yeah. Anyway, my prediction is that we're gonna at least hear about the remake this year. That Lego set is just that's just too loud of a scream. I think we're getting at least a teaser this year.
And it's the second Lego set to have Ocarina of Time in it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's not the big mainstream Zelda series. I mean, it is for like core fans, but like like I said earlier when you were gone, Nate, like Breath of the Wild is the one, and Tears are the one that really blew this series up and took it beyond to the mainstream to be 30 million seller. There's no reason to add a Ocarina of Time Deku Tree. They could have sold it for the same price with just the Breath of the Wild one. So it is interesting that they keep choosing to revisit this game. I mean, it's not interesting because we've been talking about this for years. We've all seen it coming. And I like, my answer is, yeah, I do think we're getting an Ocarina of Time remake. When is the question, not if.
Yeah.
It's just a when.
Something else to consider is they're going to have a live action Zelda movie trailer. And I don't think that live action Zelda movie trailer is going to happen in close proximity to this teaser. Like, there's got to be at least a few months of a divide, right? Like, let's say the live action movie trailer is late this year. Then I would say if we're going to get a teaser, it would have to be either in this direct or summer. If we get past that point, either we're not getting live action Zelda movie marketing until like January or something, or, you know, we're not getting it. But I just don't see them happening in close proximity. I don't think Nintendo would want to have those conflate at all.
Yeah. I think we're for sure getting a trailer, at least a teaser trailer this year. They only need to release a teaser this year, near the end of the year, late summer teaser.
But you want to know what's even perhaps a more interesting conversation about this? And I kind of pulled back on it earlier. Like, the idea if this is an ambitious remake or just kind of like Ocarina of Time 3D upscaled or something in between.
That's the worry. Yeah.
That, like, because I feel like we're on the same page, right? It's happening. We think it should be teased this year. Maybe it's not. Does anyone think it's coming out this year for sure? Stash? Oh, Great Prophet. Oh, Chosen One.
Ocarina of Time?
Yeah. When's it coming out?
I mean, on 64, it came out in November. But look, Pokemon's coming out this year. I think we expected around then. We got GTA coming out in November. People who want to buy Ocarina of Time are going to buy it, and they'll buy GTA as well. So I'm not like concerned about anything with that. It's just like, do you want to do it this year, or do you want to release the movie in May of 2027 and then slot the remake for a November 2027? Would that be better? Would that make more sense?
Yeah.
Now you are the only talking point. Okay, if you do it this November, you share the spotlight with GTA and whoever else. I don't know that Pokemon would do it too, but you share the spotlight. And if you want to be the only one everyone's talking about, 2027 would make more sense.
I feel like it depends on the scope of the remake. I really do. I feel like if we're getting that true next gen Zelda remake, you know, modern graphics, voice acting, orchestrated soundtrack, maybe
you're right.
More dense and feature rich mechanics, you know, more fleshed out storyline and lore building. I 100% agree with Stash. It's got to be after the movie, generate the hype with the movie, then bam, it's a 2-hit KO with that iconic game. Everyone's the fan base that's waiting for it's hyped, but everyone else who just got off that epic ride of a movie is now hyped for it. If this is something in between 3D and something modern and feels more of like a 4K upscaling, but not really reworked, maybe slightly modernized camera and controls, but not really reworked that much, I don't think they need to wait till next November for that, personally.
Those are great points. And, you know, again, when we first talked about this was like when I was a guest on the podcast before it was the Nintenbyte. I had said that what I would want is the Final Fantasy VII remake treatment. If it's getting a Final Fantasy VII style remake treatment, then yeah, that's max level on the scale. And so, yeah, I wouldn't expect something like that this year. But if it is what you just described, if it's a upscale of the 3DS version, then I don't see any problem whatsoever releasing that this year.
Yeah. It would just be lame as hell.
Yeah, I mean, we'll all buy it. We'll play it. It'll be cool, but it won't be like what we've dreamt about.
It will be lame to a degree. I think the only thing that would be exciting about that is, like, you know, when I was talking about this next direct and the possibility of what we would see if we got the 40th anniversary dump, where I was really conflicted is I'm 50-50 on Ocarina of Time and New Game Tease, because the timing feels right for both. But do we really get a modern remake of Ocarina of Time from the ground up that looks glorious like Final Fantasy, and then a trailer of the next Zelda game? I don't think so. But if the Ocarina of Time one is more lower scale, listen, you could make another bet, Prime. You could make another bet.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I want it. I hope I'm wrong. But I just don't see them being like, boom, Final Fantasy 7 remake level Ocarina of Time game coming 2027. Epic trailer, epic music. People are hyped, but that's not all. Check out this. And it's the next epic trailer for the next mainline Zelda. But check out this. And then it's the trailer for the movie. But check out this. And then it's the new expansion to the theme park. I don't think it's going to, we got to be a little realistic here. I feel like there's got to be some sort of compromise. If anything,
the movie won't be there.
If anything, if we're going to get both this year revealed, and that's a thing, and they're both coming, and they're both nearing late stage development or completion. What I could see is Ocarina of Time maybe being first, and that being part of the anniversary, that reveal being part of the anniversary discussion, and then maybe the big September direct, which usually has the biggest reveals of the whole year, dropping the first teaser for the next Zelda game with a ETA of 2028. Then I could see both games getting announced in a year. I just don't see back-to-back trailers of fully modern. I mean, am I wrong?
Let me just put something in perspective here. Tears of the Kingdom came out May 2023, and 3D Zelda has been trending in the direction of taking longer and longer. And I'd like to think at some point or another, they're going to find a way to kind of remedy this issue. But the way they remedy this issue might not be with having a shorter development cycle, but just positioning development teams to have a second pillar of 3D Zelda, which is remaking them. And so I can easily see Ocarina of Time remake coming out 2027 or this year if we're extremely lucky. But, you know, I feel like teaser this year comes out next year. And then 2029 at the very earliest for open air Zelda. At the earliest, but maybe they tease it in 2028. And so they kind of keep the Zelda conversation going, right? Tease Ocarina of Time remake this year, release it 2027, tease 3D Zelda 2028, have it come out 2029. Like, that's a more reasonable window. Even I'm being optimistic here. I think 2029 is an optimistic release time for the next Zelda. It's probably going to take longer, honestly.
See, I think we're going to see. I think we're going to get a reveal for the next mainline Zelda with a pending date of 2028. I think it's going to say 2028, and then we're going to get the classic Zelda delay that delays it to 2029.
Unfortunately, it's become very predictable.
Yeah. I mean, when was the last time a 3D Zelda didn't get delayed?
Majora's Mask.
I mean, I
Wind
guess
Waker.
You could argue Tears of the Kingdom didn't.
Technically, Tears of the Kingdom was never given a date.
I bet you there was.
It was internally. It was delayed. At one point, they said 2022, and it was delayed to 2023.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, so my prediction will be that they'll say it's coming 2028, and then it gets pushed to 2029.
Maybe.
If I was a betting man.
I hope they stop doing that. Honestly. Yeah, it's not good look.
I know. I don't like it either because I have this
a date ever. until it's actually coming out within 6 months.
By the way,
No,
I just want to put it out there. If you guys read the recent interview, multiple times Tanabe talks about how they had to cut stuff or not put everything they wanted in Metroid Prime 4 due to time constraints. And that game took a ridiculous amount of time.
Wild. That's just...
Yeah.
I know I read that, but I'm like, dude, come on, man. It's one of the longest developed Nintendo games of all time.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they took a long time getting the infrastructure right, but
yeah, switching devs obviously didn't help, but
yeah. Anyway, so let me. I wanted to kind of like, do we think this is just? Do we all think it's an ambitious remake? Like what I envision, right? And this, I'm still trying to decide if it's unrealistic or not. But what I envision is something that's made to look like what a modern Zelda game could look like, right? But obviously Ocarina of Time. And it's not going to be open world, but they are going to improve some of the mechanics. Nate, you and I were kind of like chatting about it the other day, and we both recognize that this may be looking too deeply into it. But Link is jumping off that tower in the Lego set, which is not at all possible in the actual game. But if they were to implement modern Zelda mechanics, it would be being able to run up walls and jump off them. And that would actually be relatively, I don't want to say it's easy, but relatively easy to integrate into the gameplay, right? And then if you also were to remix all the dungeons with redone boss fights, that could be like a pretty, that would be very like Resident Evil 4 remake, Resident Evil 2 remake style kind of thing. Like you take the core structure, but you look at some elements and you kind of redo that, up the visuals, redo the gameplay, but this core structure is an approximation of what it was. That I think would be kind of like the best case scenario. Is it the most realistic scenario? That's a whole other that's a whole other debate.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time remake. It's obviously I believe it's coming. I've said this for years, and it could come out this year. Sure, I won't rule it out. I mean, the only reason to rule it out is Nash saying he doesn't think until 2027. But then he used the word "think," which means it didn't sound like he was told it's coming out in 2027 or beyond. It's just he doesn't personally believe on what he
heard of an art style change a couple of years ago, and that would lead him to think there's no way it'd be ready that quickly. Yeah,
and we have no idea how big the art style change would have been if it was a thing. We'll probably never actually officially know about it. But I'm thinking it's more along. Look, I think it's a from the ground up remake, but I think it is more along the lines of like RE2, RE4, rather than Final Fantasy VII remake integrate. And I said that one because I don't want it to be segmented. I don't need 3 games. Right. That's a little wild. I also don't need them to basically take the structure of the game and then basically make a new game, which is basically what Final Fantasy remake and Rebirth have been. It's basically a new game in the same world. I don't want to spoil too much about it because it's all connected. It is all connected, but it's the way they did it. It's very much, if you play the original and then you play these games, it's not the same thing. So I think they're going to want it to feel like it is the same thing, just upgraded and modernized, which is like what RE4 and RE2, those remakes did. And people love those remakes because it didn't take away what made the games great. It just added to, and even some of the things they did differently. Some stuff was optional, so you didn't even have to do it if you didn't like it. And I want to see that here too. Like as an example, if for some reason they let him have climbing ability on every surface, not just the ones with the vines, well, some people might not like that. They might want it to be traditional, have a toggle, make it traditional where no, you can't climb everything. Make it more like the OG, something like that. I could see them maybe doing that, but I do think like visually it's going to be impressive. I think it'll look better than anything we have seen from these fans that make Unreal Engine versions of the game, which is like what Kryzen and Rowan Link. And don't be wrong, the things they make are beautiful, but it has to be better than that because you're Nintendo. This is your game. You have the ability to do anything you want. fans shouldn't be outdoing what you're capable of doing. So I think that it's going to be a pretty big deal, honestly. And they're going to, I don't know if it's going to be like Wii U tech demo style. I know we always comes up all the time because people like that style so much, but we've never seen a full Zelda game in it.
It should look way better.
Yeah, it should look way better. I mean, that was a long time. And the fact that now lets you know how good looking people thought that style is, because you go watch the videos, it still kind of looks good. And we're in 2026. Yeah. That was like 2010, 2011. Like, the fact that it still looks good lets you know, damn, that's a great art style. Maybe we should go back to that at some point, because it was very Twilight Princess like, but modernized. And so it would be really cool if they did something like that. Because whether it's the Wii U tech demo style or a completely different one, they can go. I'll just give another example out there. And Chris's credit to Rowan Link. He made a version of Ocarina of Time that is like a Studio Ghibli style. I could totally get behind an art style like that. The art style looks great in his videos he's done on it. So I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be like the Wii U tech demo style. It's just got to be something that's impressive, and really just makes the game feel like it's new again. You have a whole brand new generation of Zelda gamers you created from Breath of the Wild onwards that have never played Ocarina of Time, and it's the highest rated video game in history. Yeah. It is time to bring that back and show them what was the previous pillar for Zelda, even in terms of like popularity. One of the most popular Zelda games was like that, Twilight Princess, and then we got the Breath of the Wild. So I think it's time to do that. Time to really impress with it as well. And I think it's going to resonate really well, because I do think some elements of Ocarina of Time might appear in the Zelda movie. So there's a reason to expect it sometime in the next 12 to 18 months just because of the movie coming out. I also think that there is a lot going on in the realm of where was I going to go with this? See, I did this thing with Andres. I just lost my train of thought for a second. Well, either way, I think Ocarina of Time, it's the right time for it to come out, and I think it's going to do very, very, very well, and going to look visually crazy. Like it's a remake, guys. Nintendo doesn't use the word remake for hardly anything, and it was the first time they've done it to Zelda. Technically, a full remake. Link's Awakening was a remake. And that look at the visual differences with that game and the OG, like a huge leap. And I understand that was top down Game Boy to obviously modern day top down, but still massive leap. Well, guess what? It was triangle titties on the damn Great Fairies. So this was the 90s, and we're still seeing big old polygons on the N64. We've come a long way since those days.
As you were kind of like talking about this stuff, and with the anniversary, I think we should remind ourselves like of the whole path to Donkey Kong, the path to Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's not that different from what we're talking about now, because a lot of it's closely tied to Nintendo's cross promotion plan.
Right.
We theorized for years that there would be a Donkey Kong game coming out alongside the expansion to Super Nintendo World. And we waited so long, we had the date for Super Nintendo World, right? The Donkey Kong expansion. And we're like, oh, where's this Donkey Kong game that's been rumored by the Odyssey team since like 2018? Like, where is it? And then right before, like the month before the park opens, they're like, oh, here's Donkey Kong Bonanza. By the way, it's coming out this summer, like shortly after the park opens, right? And so I'm not saying we're going to wait for the remake when the Zelda park opens, but what I am trying to say is that there is something to the cross-promotional stuff. So we have the movie coming out. Nintendo's not going to have nothing.
And don't be surprised. I fully expect a Donkey Kong movie, with Seth Rogen to be announced after or around the Zelda movie time, as like the next installment of the Nintendo cinematic universe. I'm with you guys. I'm with Nate all the way here. I put forth the question, like, what are we going to get? Like, is it going to be the full remake that we've all dreamed of, or is it going to be something in between? I'm of the camp that we're getting a full remake, a full modern remake. That being said, I don't think it's going to be in the style of Final Fantasy where we reimagine this game or reimagine the story. I think you keep the magic that you have and you just build on it. You just improve it. Part of that is, guys, Ocarina of Time, it has one of the best soundtracks in gaming, period. Orchestrate it. We've got voice acting now in Zelda. Voice act it. These are huge modern jumps. Visuals, rebuild them, refine them, modernize it. The combat system, it needs to be updated. It was fun for the time, but it needs to be updated. And the big one that I've talked about 100 times on this channel is add a jump button. Adding a jump button is going to require a lot of work in development, you know, whether it's puzzles or the way the world's built. But this just comes with rebuilding the world, making it more dense, feature rich. And I think the additions you add to it, instead of changing the story or reimagining or coming up with a new ending or any of that stuff, what you do is you build on this amazing foundation by making the world feel more alive and lived in. Maybe more NPCs on a schedule, traveling, you know, merchant carts and stuff, traveling around Hyrule Field. Make the game feel alive. And then flesh out the boss fights a little bit more. You know, they're iconic for the time, but they are a little bit simplistic. Maybe make them a little bit more multi-phased. So they're a little bit more cinematic and pose a bigger threat than they did on the Nintendo 64. You're literally taking something that's so phenomenal and just polishing it up and strengthening its foundation in the modern era, so that people like Prime said, people whose first Zelda was Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, could jump into this one and feel like it's a game that's actually more advanced in certain aspects. I think that's the goal. And the game is it's such a precious piece of Zelda history with, again, incredible music, incredible characters, a phenomenal origin story they could really flesh out for Ganondorf to really set up Hyrule in this interesting world. Yeah, I'm all in on full remake. The fear will remain that it's something less than that, but that's what I really believe.
Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, Ocarina of Time really does something so well, and that is the epic boss fight. Every dungeon has like a giant epic boss fight, and maybe it's because I played it when I was little, but I just believe that a proper ending to any major sequence in a game, and even in a lot of fiction stories, there needs to be a giant epic boss fight. And if there isn't, it just doesn't hit well. Like, you need it to happen. I don't want to spoil anything for people who have finished certain series recently, but if you don't have a proper climactic final battle, it just doesn't feel right. You need to have it. And Ocarina of Time did that for every single dungeon. Yeah. And the end was the best part. Like, they did that. They had the big shift midway through from child to adult, right? There were plot twists, you know, like they did it so right. You know that meme with the guy from Bad Boys where he's like, it was perfect. Just perfect.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Perfecto.
I remember as a kid playing Ocarina of Time and like just being like, oh my God, this is so epic. Dropping into the boss room in the Shadow Temple and landing on the bongo. And you're like, what is this? And then like, you see the hands come over. Yeah. Donk. And your character's just like bouncing around. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so badass.
And it's huge. It's so scary.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Dude, and that guys, imagine the Forest Temple too, which is one of my favorite dungeons to this day from that game. Imagine that fully modernized in a new engine with some of the creepiest music in Zelda. That dungeon music's super unsettling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, I could talk about Ocarina of Time all day with Stash. You're still snacking over there. What are your thoughts on Ocarina of Time remake? When's it coming? What do you want them to do to the game? et cetera, et cetera.
Coming the same time, I already said.
Yeah.
So I want to stick with that. What I would like, fully orchestrated soundtrack. A lot of what I want is again the Final Fantasy VII remake treatment, in that everything stays intact. Everything that we have right now in the game is still there, but it's expanded upon greatly. And at the same time, you add new stuff, which again, that is what the remake trilogy is doing. So they did in Rebirth, tons of new stuff, tons of new things, tons of new areas. So that's what I want. You don't need to reinvent the wheel here. This is the highest rated game of all time. Okay. So you don't need to remove anything. All you do is build upon it. I mean, it's the strongest foundation of all time if you think about it. So just build on that. So yeah, it's all those things. It's the nicer graphics, obviously. Maybe we get a jump button now.
Voice acting.
Yeah, voice acting would be great. Absolutely. All those things, all the modern amenities that you would expect from a next gen game today. But I don't want anything removed, and I don't think they will. I think everything, there's nothing that came out in that game in 98 that they can't do today for politically correct bullshit reasons. There's no reason you have to remove anything. This game's safe.
Yeah, they got rid of the chant.
Yeah, they might.
Well, I mean, they did.
They did in the revision.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And there is
I'm not fond of the chant anyways. It's fine.
It's pretty gruesome. They probably will tone that down.
Yeah. There will be things. There will probably be things, you're right, that people will nitpick. And
there won't be blood smeared on the walls.
Internet.
Come on. Why not? Let me read T for T.
Yeah, I just want more, guys. I want more stuff. I want more dungeons. I want any of the content. I want the Triforce to be attainable outside of the Space World 97 demo.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Light Temple.
I played it. I mean, you guys know it's in the game too. It's debugged. It's in there.
Yeah.
But I played the Space World demo.
So with the R-Wing. So, I mean.
Yeah, that's true.
Played Star Fox.
I mean, they did have nods, obviously, to other Nintendo games there.
Oh,
Mario's picture.
No Mario. Yeah, there's no Mario picture in the game. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Guys, I think all of that's what Final Fantasy's done. Like the template's out there. You do that, see great success.
See, that's actually another thing to think about, because we've already seen Final Fantasy VII Remake kind of have this treatment. That's kind of like Square Enix's version of that, right? That big epic adventure. Nintendo would look bad if they just kind of like upscaled Ocarina of Time 3D.
They would.
Yeah, like the optics of that would not be very good, especially if you're going into the 40th anniversary. You got the movie, you have maybe the park, you have this is a new generation of Switch too. Like Nintendo needs to come at it hard, like strong. Like I honestly, if what some insiders are suggesting is true, that this year is going to be kind of tame, maybe it is true. But if it is, I think that's a failing on Nintendo's part. We waited a very long time to get to this point. And I don't think the last 7 months have been bad. They were fine. But we had a year and a half of pretty subpar content leading up to that point. And we even had like a weird, awkward kind of slow break period after Bonanza, before we got to the holiday rush. And I wouldn't say that things are very strong right now, for these first few months from Nintendo. So, I'm not saying that has to be like insane, but they better actually bring the goods for the second half. I'm not saying it has to be Ocarina of Time remake either, but they better have big projects planned
more than just
out
Pokemon.
these first few years.
Pokemon,
Especially when Pokemon's not really quality these days, is it? Like, it's gonna get the sales, but that doesn't show
it's something
quality
more.
to Nintendo. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I got some ideas, but I know we're gonna do a little bit of direct discussion.
Yeah, we're doing that in a little bit here. Eric, you got anything you want to add? I saved you for last because you also run the next topic. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping it happens just for people who want it. I'm not sure if I'll pick it up or not, but I know there were a few rumored dungeons, right, that were cut from the game. I think Andres, you said what was light dungeon and something else. Yep. That would be really.
I don't want to say it was cut, but yeah, there. I think there's definitely room for a dungeon.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a whole corner of the map that could have had a dungeon that they just didn't do because maybe it didn't fit N64 limitations too. So.
The size of the game and whatnot.
I actually heard recently there was a video that did like some research into this, like the way the game is structured, like the ice arrows were kind of it's speculated the ice arrows were planned to have a much bigger role in the game, but they basically had to just shoehorn it in as a bonus in like that side dungeon, that optional dungeon in the Gerudo hideout. At one point the ice arrows were supposed to have like true meaning. But you can play the entire game without ever getting the ice arrows.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because everything else has a purpose and meaning. Yeah, I definitely there's been cut content in like all the Zelda games. So bringing some of that back, or even just making new content would be nice.
Right. Yeah.
Something that's just not in the original game.
Yeah. I mean, always adding a couple more dungeons would be the way to go, I think.
Or some shrines.
Add an overworld boss fight.
Interesting.
In Hyrule Field.
Yeah, I mean, you have that giant plant thing. Like, you could develop that. They could put something else in there. I'm serious about the shrines thing, by the way. And I think it actually would make a lot of sense because if, Ocarina of Time is supposed to take place, after the imprisoning war that we just got a spinoff of, right? That eventually leads to Tears of the Kingdom. Like, showing evidence that these are all part of the same world would be kind of cool. Now, obviously, there would be different shrines, but that could be a way to kind of fill up the overworld to give us more to do.
Be interesting. Sure. Yeah.
So it's possible.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about, I watch you play pretty much every Zelda.
Yes, yeah.
So, but I don't know a whole lot of the games themselves because I haven't actually physically played a lot of them.
The perfect person that needs the remake.
Yeah, right.
Nintendo.
Yeah. So I don't really know what they could add to make it better.
How about making Navi less annoying?
Yeah, I've heard that.
I know it's a meme at this point.
Listen,
but today's audience wouldn't be able to handle Navi.
Yeah, probably not.
After the Metroid Prime 4, the way they handled that shit.
Gabora,
the way they cried about it on the internet daily.
If you got all that, and then they make the first option no, so you accidentally repeat because you're spamming E to get through. I don't think modern gamers could even handle that.
No.
And it's, by the way, guys, if you paid attention, it's the only time in the game that the correct, the answer you don't want to hit is at the top. Every other question, it's yes, no. Not that one. It's the opposite. You're like, so dude, they definitely knew they were fucking with people.
Dude, I mean, I'll be honest. It happened. I've played that game so many times, and it's happened.
Still gets stuck
almost
there
every time.
Yeah, Whoever got to make that decision or got away with the decision, if they snuck it in towards the end, they got to be smirking all the way to this day, every single time. All right.
They could expand the Goron dance.
There you go.
Flesh it out.
Flush out the Goron dance. There we go.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Goron dance.
Right?